Thank you so much. Joining us is a man who is no stranger to the Observer, and he always has the scoop. He has it hot off the press. Good friend of mine, and a man who always fights for equality. That is journalistic equality and what's right. Let me say a pleasant good evening to veteran journalist Ken Ali. Pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Ali.
Good evening to you, Mikey, and your many viewers and listeners. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. Let's get to the meat of it. Our Prime Minister has left the shores. He has gone to Ghana. We've heard so much in the past, especially from, I believe, Dr. Rudal Munilal, about many of these trips. At the end of the day, doesn't really add up to anything when it comes to benefiting the people of Trinidad and Tobago. He has gone to observe the 25th anniversary of the ascension of the King of Ashanti. What say you?
Well, the 25th anniversary of the ascension of the King of Ashanti, his full name, by the way, is King Otumfo Ose Tutu. Those functions took place between April 22nd and April 26th. The highlight was on April 26th. On his birthday, his 75th birthday was on May 6th, and he had a public function in the city in which his quarters are, and on the 12th he also has another function. But the palace, by the way, is in the Manhia area in the city of Kumasi. Now, so the main functions took place, and there were a number of rituals and so on. He entertained leaders from West Africa and from Ghana also. Ghana is a very populous country, 33.5 million people. So there were all those functions that took place, and there was also something called a durbar, which is it's called a ruler's court, in which is a traditional function where he hosts people, listens to them, and gives counsel and advice and so on. But the main highlights, Mikey, have taken place between those dates. And the birthday of the king was on the 6th. On the 12th, he has one more function. It is not exactly clear what our prime minister what function he has gone to attend. The main silver anniversary function, there was a musical jamboree, a Thanksgiving service, a dinner, and all of these things. So it is not very clear what our prime minister is going to attend. Now, this is the third time he is going to Ghana, and Ghana has some severe social and economic problems. Yes. They have poverty and inflation and so on. But Ghana is also a gateway to West Africa, a massive population there. Paula Gopi Schoon from the Ministry of Trade and Industry led some business people to an investment on a mission there the other day. This is the Prime Minister's third trip. And you'll recall after his second trip, he promised us yam and so on. I'm told, Mikey, in a serious note, that the yam is very tasty and very smooth, but we have not yet tasted the yam. And outside of that, on a serious note, we spend a lot of taxpayers' dollars. Ghana is quite away from Trinidad and Tobago, and we do not know what are the benefits of that. Remember, Dr. Munilal uncovered that in 3 years, the Prime Minister's travels amounted to $10.6 million.
Yeah, because, Mr. Ali, at present, there's minimal trade between this country and Ghana. I mean, we sell about $25 million worth of goods to Ghana, which is, mechanical appliances, petroleum, oil, gasket pipes, and we import less than $1 million annually, and it's mainly cocoa butter, clothing, soap, and cassava. Farine, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the level of trade. Now, like I said again, there are opportunities for trade, but we've not done the work. And just as an aside, you remember this thing called the ease of doing business. Trinidad and Tobago, it's difficult to set up business here for all kinds of reasons. You know, we have had a flight of business, a net loss of business investments in Trinidad. The last year we had full figures was 2022, and we lost $914 million in investments, a lot of them in hydrocarbons and so on. So you do not have an enabling playing field to encourage and to welcome investments. And here we have our Prime Minister talking about going to Ghana, looking for investments and whatever else. And one of the things about all these is the Prime Minister comes back, talks wistfully about all these things, and we never see the benefit. You know, trade is what it is, investment is what it is, the economy is in the state in which it's in.
And and you're right. We see nothing. Let's speed up here. Now, speaking at a media briefing at the Piarco International Airport on February 20th, the Prime Minister noted that a buyer was interested in the refinery and would have planned a visit to view the company's data room some 2 weeks later. Who is the main person? Who are we looking at as far as running for this refinery?
Right. There are four players. Now, the primary one, the government is courting Reliance Industries. Reliance Industries is headed by a gentleman called Mukesh Ambani. He's from Mumbai, India. He's the richest man in India and one of the richest in the world. His company, his corporation is worth $117 billion US. He's into hydrocarbons, entertainment, retail, textile, all kinds of stuff. He's into all kinds of stuff, right? He's the man whose daughter had a massive wedding the other day, and so on and so forth. Now, they have interest in the plant. They want to integrate it with what's happening in Guyana and to some extent in Suriname. The Prime Minister has not told us that. The Prime Minister told us that Ambani has interest in putting down a stadium, and he's going to use Pan Trinbago headquarters, which I think is a scandal in itself. We founded Pan nearly 100 years ago, and Pan doesn't have a headquarters. So, but he is offering them that, which will be owned, Mikey, by Ambani and Reliance Industries. It will not be owned by us. And we have a sports stadium. We have sports stadiums. We have an academy, which is the Brian Lara Academy. We play mass and we jump up and we jump to Marshall there more than we play cricket. So we're going to bring this sports stadium. And Ambani entering our economy is always a good thing because he is massive, he is successful, and so on. But the government has not told us that. No, I told you there are other investors. Patriotic Technologies is owned by OWTO, and this is their third bid. And I could tell you it's a serious bid. Ozzy Warwick, their man of business, has put together a bid. They're looking to raise $1 billion, which will carry them for 3 years in terms of crude oil supplies and so on, marketing and employees and so on. It will take 9 months to fully operationalize that refinery. There are the two companies. One is owned by a family of a former a big industrial person in the PNM. I don't want to call names yet, but there's an interesting story that will come out of that. And I could promise to give you it first on your program. And there's yet another player. So the government has been talking to various people, and they're hoping they could unveil this before the general election. They're looking at the Point of Pierre seat. They're targeting the Point of Pierre seat, which has now been renamed Claxton Bay. So all of that is part of the politics. The thing about this is the Prime Minister has not indicated to us that he is going to hold that level of talks with Ambani. And again, it probably is a political surprise he's hoping to spring on us.
And we know quite clearly that business is not engineered by emotions as far as when you look at how things are generated. But it would be quite a blow to have some foreign ownership of Petrotrin. You must recognize the history that took place with it in the energy sector in the 1970s.
Mikey, I'm glad you raised that because I was a young journalist in the 1970s when George Weeks led OWTO to nationalize Texaco. And he used to say Texaco must go and we must own the commanding heights of the economy and so on and so forth. Eventually, he got the Eric Williams government to nationalize it. First it was Trintoc and now Petrotrin and so on. And of course, we run down everything, plant, machinery, the operations, the Point of Pierre, and so on and so forth. But we're going full circle. So if this happens, we would have turned over the commanding heights of the economy to foreigners again, while we could have retained it and remodeled it and operated at a smaller scale, or we could have gotten local consortiums to run the refinery.
Yeah, one would think so. And of course, energy sources are disputing the recent revelation that preserving the Petrotrin plant cost about 500,000 TT a month, $500,000.
Yeah, well, Kwamina, who is chairman of the parent company, said 500,000. He didn't call a currency. My own investigation found it was 500,000 US, which is almost 7 times that sum. So that's what the taxpayer is paying. Now, Mikey, if you drive through the operations there, you would feel sad to see how it's overridden with debris and grass and how the buildings are broken down and so on. There is a lot of looting and destruction of the premises, massive premises. In addition to what happens in Pointe-a-Pierre, remember they have buildings in other parts of the country, in Palo Seco, in Erin, and Forest Reserve, and so on. All those areas have been left dilapidated. So if it's costing us $500,000, which I said is in U.S. currency, look at the state of what has happened to Petrotrin since we shut it down in November 2018.
Yep, so we got to keep an eye on Mukesh Ambani, head of the conglomerate Reliance Industries. Ken, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Ali, and as well as these stories come about, keep up the good writing, and we will have them here highlighted on The Observer. You are really adding some very intelligent narratives out there, and I think you're going beyond the story, which is wonderful. Any closing comment? Go right ahead.
Yes, well, there's a lot else is happening. No, we can't talk in the limited time. The listeners could find my writing in Sunshine newspaper, also some on my page, and then it's also on counterpunchtt.com. So
say that once again.
Right?
Say that once again.
counterpunchtt.com. In addition to that, Sunshine newspaper, and some I post on my page, my Facebook page.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali. Keep up the good work, and we'll be checking in with you periodically.
Best wishes to you and your listeners.
Thank you so much.